Hello, everyone. My name is Lachlan. I write for Monday Morning, and I'm also an analyst on Exponential Stock Investor. Now, I think I've got a very exciting update for you today. I'll be talking a bit about uranium and nuclear power, but I'll just give you a quick rundown at the start of what I'm going to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to do is run you through a couple of headlines, and then I will look at the uranium spot price, both in its recent history and its long-term history, and then I'm going to discuss the share prices of a few ASX listed uranium companies, and then I'm going to dive into, I guess, the overall landscape of the uranium market and nuclear power production worldwide. So I hope you stick with us because it's going to be an interesting few minutes, I hope. So what I've got here for you at the start is a headline from Forbes, which might have flown under the radar for a lot of people given what's happening in the US. But after 48 years, Democrats now endorse nuclear energy. And I'll combine this headline with another headline I've got here, which is from Reuters. So you've got Bill Gates, who runs a company called TerraPower, nuclear power company. Now, they're looking to launch hundreds of these reactors around the world by 2050. They will be 345 megawatt plants, and they'll cost around $1 billion. Now, this does sound like a lot of money, but in the overall scheme of nuclear power plants, this is comparatively low. So the capital expenditure for most larger nuclear power plants is anywhere from 6 billion to 10 billion. So this is a fraction of that. And I guess Bill Gates recognizes the capital intensiveness of getting a nuclear power plant up and running, and he wants to address this barrier. And he's looking to get some funding from Warren Buffett's Pacific Corp, along with the US Energy Department and a number of other private investors. So it's quite exciting from an investment perspective, I guess, given that bipartisan support and I guess the tech that Bill Gates is bringing to the picture. And I'll just now look at the uranium spot price. So here you can see a long-term downtrend from the 2007 peak. And then if you zoom in on the last, I guess, year or so, it's registered a small uptick from historically low levels in March, April, and May. And it's sort of leveled off a bit now, but, and sorry, I should mention this chart comes from Cameco, who is an absolutely massive Canadian uranium miner. But in the context of this long-term trend for the uranium price, I'm now going to look at some recent action in the ASX listed uranium space. So you've got Berkeley Energy Limited here. It's registered an uptick since the March market lows. They have a Spanish operation in Salamanca. And then you've got Bannerman Resources, which has sort of found some support around here at the 30-cent level and has registered another uptick. And they have an operation in Namibia. Then you've got Boss Resources Limited, which is on a bit of a run at the moment, and they have the Honeymoon Mine in South Australia. And then you've got Paladin Energy Limited, which is on a bit of a run at the moment too, and they have operations in Namibia. So I guess one thing to remember with these kind of short-term charts is that historically they are at very low prices, and this is due to the uranium spot price back in 2007. So if you go back to the long-term charts of these companies, you'll see a big spike in 2007 for Paladin, a big spike in 2007 for Boss, a big spike in 2007 for Bannerman, and another big spike for Berkeley Energia in 2007 as well. So there's a lot to consider here, and you should always be aware of the risks. And I would just caution that since they're so far off snapping long-term downtrends, there is a lot of risk and it is very speculative. So by no means am I saying invest in these companies, but I would say from a sort of speculative perspective, there is a lot of, I guess, renewed interest on the back of that bipartisan support. And what I'll do right now at the end here is give you a little recap of what's happening in the, I guess, nuclear power landscape. So China is going very hard at nuclear power. They have 48 nuclear powers at the moment in operation, 11 under construction, and then you can see the overall capacity of nuclear power plants around the world. US is the clear leader, followed by France, then China, Japan, Russia, South Korea, Canada, and the list goes on. But there are 441 reactors currently in operation. This accounts for about 10.5% of the total electricity generation around the world. So it's an important mix, important part of our mix of energy sources. And there are 54 under construction, so that's about 1/9 of current capacity. So there'll be an uptick of about 18% capacity in the coming few years, I guess, if these projects continue ahead. And I guess finally, I just draw your attention to this chart. So this is the total nuclear electricity production. Sort of peaked there in 2009, and that was right after the uranium spot price started to fall. And it started on a bit of a upwards trend here. And I would just say at the end here is that nuclear power is very intriguing from both an investment perspective and an energy perspective, because it is potentially that bridge to a carbon-free or carbon-neutral future. And it's sort of been proven technology for at least 50 years now. So it's been through ups and downs, and it's been beaten down, at least these ASX listed uranium companies, by that declining spot price for so long. But there's a lot of interesting things happening in this space at the moment. And I just draw your attention to the fact that we have a uranium tech play in our exponential stock investor service. It's very exciting. It's certainly got risks attached to it, which you should be aware of. But if you want to learn more about exponential stock investor, I would strongly encourage you to check out the link in the video description below. And you'll also find a link to the article there as well. So I encourage you to read that article, check out Exponential Stock Investor, and I hope you have a safe weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.